Hi, welcome to my presentation on my internship at Centerpoint Counseling. My name is Maddie Miller. In 2 weeks, will be graduated with my bachelor's in marriage and family studies, and I've also earned certificates in advanced marriage and family functioning, parent and family education, and human services. So how did I find and arrange the internship? I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, but I started looking for an internship pretty late in the game. When I was taking classes, no one ever really talked about internships, so I didn't really know what to expect. I assumed that looking the semester before my anticipated internship date would work. Turns out, though, I was so very wrong. I attended the career fair and I networked there, but I just didn't feel like I connected with many of the internship opportunities there. There wasn't anything that I guess I was really specifically interested in. So I reached out to my department internship coordinator, who sent me a list of potential internships that I could reach out to, and I went through the whole list and emailed the ones I was interested in. There were a few online research-based internships that offered a position to me, but most of the in-person clinical work internships that I really wanted told me they already had an intern lined up for the next semester. One of these was Centerpoint Counseling, which is a counseling clinic local to Rexburg. It was close to where I lived, it was perfectly aligned with my interests and past job experience, and I was so disappointed. So, since I really wanted it, I asked if I could possibly intern for them the semester after. They were willing to work with me and interview me early, and I just took my one and only deferred semester off between the end of my classes and my internship. I interviewed at the end of fall and began in spring, and for me, it was totally worth it because the experience I've had has been great. What were my responsibilities in the internship? I started off primarily doing front office work. I learned how to take intake calls, reschedule appointments, scan and index documents, and so on. A lot of my work was interacting with clients and making calls and helping out with whatever needed to be done. The office also had me take over their Facebook page, so I got in the routine of uploading posts twice a week to try to engage the community. I also took charge in updating the blog posts every week and cross-posting on social media so that everything looked consistent and updated. Probably my favorite part of the internship experience was being able to participate in clinical observations. From the start of my internship, I was a participant of the grief group held every Wednesday night. I was there partially to observe, but Jeff, who was the owner and internship supervisor, I guess you could say, wanted me to be as active of a participant as everyone else, so he asked me to choose something to work on. It could be a relationship that I'm incomplete with, or a loss that I've experienced, and so on. It was neat to learn about the grief recovery experience and how to effectively respond to and connect with grievers. Later on in my internship, once I started to develop a relationship with the counselors, I started sitting in on individual counseling sessions. It was sort of hit and miss because some patients aren't comfortable with interns being there, understandably, but the ones that I were able to sit on were really interesting. How did you benefit the site you served at? I think I was able to contribute a lot on the social media side of things. I tried to post content that was meaningful but also uplifting and encouraging. This is an example of one of the posts that I made that did really well. As you can see, it reached about 4,000 people, and we had about almost 300 engagements, so that was the one that we don't really know why, but it just really rocketed, and it really helped business, so... About halfway through my internship, they hired 2 new office receptionists as well. I had created a front office guide to help myself remember everything that I needed to know at the beginning of my internship, and I was able to pass that on to the new trainees when they joined. So that was a small way that I was able to contribute and help out when they were learning the how-tos that come with the job. I also input dictation for Jeff a handful of times. He later stopped having me do that just because it took him a while to dictate his notes to me, but I felt like I was able to be helpful because I got some of his paperwork done for him in a shorter amount of time than it may have taken by himself. It was also beneficial for me because it gave me some exposure to what that part of the job is like. So, how did you benefit personally from this experience? For me, the biggest benefit was sitting in on sessions. It was not only the most interesting part of the whole experience for me, but it also helped me figure out what I wanted to do. I've always had grad school in the back of my mind, but I was afraid to seriously consider it because I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to invest in a degree that I realized later that I didn't like. Observing those sessions helped me figure out what mental health issues I was interested in working with and which I was not, as well as what age groups I was or wasn't interested in. I was also able to ask a lot of counselors tons of questions about grad school and what program they did and where and why. That was really beneficial to me because they all gave good advice and tips, and I feel a lot more capable now in actually doing this and going to grad school. Being able to observe them do it showed me it's not as hard as I think I'm making it up to be in my head sometimes, and it helped me figure out what program I want to pursue. Aside from sitting in on sessions, the most valuable thing I learned was how to interact with grievers. After being in a grief group like that, I don't think I'll ever respond to grief the same way. It doesn't help to try to console grievers with at least statements. It doesn't help to try to find the silver lining to the situation. It doesn't help to hand tissues to them when they're crying because it sends the indirect message that we want them to suppress or stop the emotion they're feeling. The best thing that we can do for them is just listen and show our support. And I'm grateful for that experience because I've been able to apply it recently to some close friends who lost their baby. Something that Jeff said at the start of every group was big heart, big ears, and closed mouth. He drew an illustration of this on our rule board and it became the group motto and symbol. The main idea is that we should be quiet, receptive to others' stories and grief, and be there to listen and empathize. Describe one important connection between your coursework and what you experienced during your internship. Something I remember learning in Brother Green's classes was that in the counseling relationship, we can't tell the client what to do. We can try to guide them there so that they can figure out the solution for themselves, but we can't try to solve it for them. I've seen that exemplified in a lot of the sessions I sat in, whether it was regarding relationship boundaries, setting priorities, processing anxiety, etc. The counselor could hint at themes or give the client assignments that might help them learn those lessons for themselves, but ultimately their job was to be a helping hand. Would you recommend this site and experience to other students? I would absolutely recommend this site to other students, especially if they're wanting to go into counseling. For people like me that don't really know what kind of counseling they want to do, it's great. But it's also great even for those who know exactly what kind of counseling they want to do, just because it helps them get exposure to sessions with a professional counselor. You get a lot of opportunities to be an objective fly on the wall, if you will, and I learned a lot from that. I also learned a lot about the administrative side of clinical work, which was beneficial for me if I ever want to work in that type of setting. And I also kind of discovered that I really liked that work and that even if I don't go to grad school, I would probably be happy in that kind of setting. So it worked out in a lot of ways. If yes, whom should students contact to arrange an internship at the site? The best person to reach out to is the office manager, Sarah Whitehead, at mail@centerpointcounseling.com. The owner, Jeff Winfrey, makes the final decisions on everything, but she's the person that would get the ball rolling in setting up that internship process. She'd be the one you'd communicate with the most, and she'd help you get an interview set up. So just be clear with what you're wanting regarding your time frame, and they should be willing to work with you if you show that you care and have the professional skills needed. Everyone at the office is super kind and really helpful. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email is maddiestonemiller@gmail.com, and that's Maddie as in Madison with the S-O-N taken off, so just M-A-D-I, stonemiller@gmail.com. And I guess that is it. Big thank you to Slides Carnival and Unsplash for providing this template for me to work with. Have a great day.